My message to Elon Musk is bullshit. You're not the media.
What NBC News and reporters do matters.
They won't evolve. Like, the people who work at NBC News will not have careers in journalism 10 years from now. And the reason they won't is not because of technology. It's because they have no credibility because they're corrupt.
Okay, so it is official. Elon Musk has broken the media at this point because MSNBC and now Axios CEO, they are losing it over his comments on the X platform. Tucker Carlson actually chimes in and gives his take about it. And Jack Deranged Smith is dropping charges against President-elect Trump. All of these stories and more in this video, but let's start with this epic meltdown. Check this out.
Everything we do is under fire. Elon Musk sits on Twitter every day, or X today, saying like, we are the media, you are the media. My message to Elon Musk is bullshit. You're not the media. You having a blue check mark, a Twitter handle, and 300 words of cleverness doesn't make you a reporter. You don't do that by popping off on Twitter. You don't do that by having an opinion. You do it by doing the hard work.
Yeah, come on, slow clap, everybody. Whoa. First of all, I've got to say, extraordinary content. It needed to be said.
Yeah.
It continues to need to be said. When all of the garbage that's flying around on social media, lying about reporters, lying about the hard work they do, lying about the hard work editors do, lying about everything up and down, about not only their alternative set of facts, but alternative set of facts about what people like you do. Or if social media, people lying every day, every hour, every minute about the news. What you do matters. What the New York Times does matters.
Okay, so here's my only question to Joe. If they mattered so much, then why are the ratings in the trash? Right? I mean, here's the bottom line. This meltdown is like the manager of a failing restaurant who's yelling at customers for leaving bad reviews. Tell me how that makes sense, right? I mean, they place blame on everyone else except themselves. They're blaming people on social media for their issues because we are too busy lying all day long. But you guys have been caught lying every single step of the way, especially over the last 10 years. What are you talking about? And the fact that you've lost the monopoly on truth, and it's because of platforms like X, right? And independent creators and podcasters. You guys are losing it. All right, so this continues with another clip. But before we get there, if you guys are getting value from this video, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. If you want to support us further, go to the link in the description below, shop the merch store, or buy us a cup of coffee. Now, there was more that he had to say. Check this out.
What NBC News and MSNBC reporters do matters. It matters.
And it doesn't mean there aren't things that we get wrong. And the reason I guess I was hopped up at that speech was I listened to so many reporters who feel like the industry's going to hell. Nobody trusts them. They're demoralized. And the truth is we don't have time to be demoralized. We don't have time to whine. We have to do our job. Like, there is a information war out there, and there's still tens of millions of people that depend on great reporting, and it's our job to make sure we create viable businesses around it and that we really do try to get to the closest approximation of the truth.
Yeah, but Jim, the problem is you guys don't do your job, right? I mean, you're on a network that clearly is 100% propaganda, talking about telling the truth and doing your job. What are you talking about, bro? I mean, I would respect you if you went on News Nation talking that way, but you're on MSNBC, the worst of them all, right? Let me read this to you. 2 insightful facts. The amount of active users on the X platform has exploded, right? While legacy outlets like MSNBC are struggling to keep viewers engaged. That is bottom line number 1. Bottom line number 2, legacy media's bias has been exposed time and again, from Russiagate to COVID to Hunter Biden laptop story to no, we don't have a crime problem in our country, right? What has happened as a result? It has eroded public trust with the American people. So, I mean, the Axios CEO, Jim, can go on the news and he can get on a stage and he can scream all he wants, but the damage has been done. There is no going back at this point because all trust has been lost. Now, the person who has the authority to confirm what I just said is Tucker Carlson. Here's what he had to say.
But where do you see journalism going? You know, Elon Musk said, you are the media now.
after Election Day. How do you think it's going to change and evolve over the next few years? How important is it for citizen journalists?
Well, I would just start by saying there's nothing more corrupt than what we have. So I'm glad that it's going away. There's nothing shallower than cable news. There's life in it. So for them to say, the public is reaching conclusions we disagree with because they're not watching long and they're getting all their news from TikTok or something. I just want to restate, there's nothing shallower, dumber, more repetitive, more controlled, less informative than cable news. I think I can say that with authority, so can you. So if they're claiming that the other guys are just not up to their level of journalism or rectitude, that, it's just dogs barking. It means nothing to me. Obviously, we're entering a much freer, more open period. Elon Musk deserves 100% of the credit for that because he has this platform at scale, the only one at scale that's open. Joe Rogan deserves the credit for creating an entire new genre, podcasting, from which I'm benefiting. So I'm grateful to Joe Rogan, and I mean that. Plus, I love Joe Rogan anyway, but he did that single-handedly. So, and I guess we're both beneficiaries of it. He created this thing it didn't exist before. It's an amazing thing. And, if the world were fair, then, everyone in the media would be tipping a hat to him. Did you invent the newspaper? Did you invent radio? Did you invent television? I don't think so. Joe Rogan essentially invented podcasting. I mean, he made it clear to everybody else that this could both have an effect and be a real business. Who thought that would be true? He proved it. Here are my concerns. My concerns. Now, I don't have too many concerns. Here's something that annoys me. If there's a lesson of what happened to television and newspapers, print, and legacy media, they died because they were corrupt. I mean, the business model changed, et cetera, et cetera. There are ways they won't evolve. The people who work at NBC News will not have careers in journalism 10 years from now. And the reason they won't is not because of technology. It's because they have no credibility because they're corrupt. They're liars. So that's really the lesson. Corruption kills you, especially in a business predicated on trust, which is the media.
Tucker's response is definitely spot on. I mean, legacy media is a dying business, right? Like Blockbuster, for an example, and Netflix came along, right? And they refused to adapt to a changing world. Citizen journalists, independent creators, influencers, call them whatever you want, but this is the bottom line. They now have the monopoly on information and the truth. Now, not everybody tells the truth. There's a lot of false information out there, but you can't say that without saying the legacy media is really pushing the bulk of it, right? And when you have platforms like X that has given power to podcasters, it has really exposed the legacy media and the establishment for who they really are. I mean, that's really what happened. And so here's my bottom line. I mean, trust in legacy media has hit all-time low. 26% of Americans believe in their reporting. Only 26%. So obviously, Tucker's moved to an independent platform like he did. He's getting way more views than he was getting on Fox News. There's no question. I mean, he's killing whatever they are doing. Now, the rumor going around is that Elon Musk is flirting with the idea of buying MSNBC. Here is what corrupt news network, CNN that is, had to say about it.
Over the weekend, for example, Musk is joking, I think, about maybe trying to buy MSNBC. It seems he's just trying to troll. Comcast is not making MSNBC up for sale right now. Maybe something will change in a few years. But those tweets, those posts from Musk, those memes that he's posting, it just speaks to his power and his center of power throughout this incoming administration.
But elaborate on that potential joke. He used some of the same phrasing that he used a few years ago when he ended up actually buying Twitter, when he said, "How much is it?" just fairly casually. Yes. I mean, it would seem that, yes, there is a fair amount of trolling going on right now, but at the same time, Comcast is cleaving off a part of the business that could potentially be an affordable acquisition. Do you think that there's any possibility that it's more than a joke?
Well, some inside MSNBC are taking Musk's comments seriously, whether he's trolling or not.
All right, so if I was in MSNBC, I'd definitely be concerned. I would definitely take what Elon Musk is saying very seriously, because he's said it before and he ended up following through by buying Twitter, which is now X. And here's the other thing. That's exactly what should happen. Someone from the outside of the legacy media should buy this network and change it. Why? because it doesn't work anymore, right? Americans don't want divisive content anymore. They're done with it. They're fed up with it. They don't want to listen to people spew a lot of propaganda, which is why since Election Day, that network has been in the dumpster. I mean, that's just what the numbers are saying. And speaking of the numbers, let's listen to Patrick Bet-David, who points out a very interesting statistic about CNN and MSNBC. I think you might laugh because of this. Check this out.
You up, folks. Imagine you're CNN and MSNBC. You're at a point that you're okay losing to Fox. You're at a point that you're okay losing to Rogan. You're at a point that you may even okay losing to other podcasters, right? You know, election night, some people are putting more numbers than you are. We did that on election night. You're like, listen, those guys are amateurs. We're pros. We built the Titanic. The amateurs are building the Joe Rogan Experience, the PVD podcast, all this other stuff. But these are amateurs. But imagine you wake up one day and your producer comes to you and says, guys, what? Hallmark just beat us. Bro, what are you talking about? Hallmark just beat us. Tell me nobody's written that article yet. Bro, they wrote it already. That's bullshit. No. Hallmark? They make cards. Give them a Hallmark. Hallmark beat CNN and MSNBC in viewership last week.
No way.
Here's a supersized guide to rating in all 32 new holiday films. Can you imagine that? Man. How do you let Hallmark beat you? You can let a lot of people beat you. You cannot let Hallmark beat you. We're talking about practice, right? We're talking about Hallmark. We cannot be talking about Hallmark here, right? I mean, you understand what the reference of the great AI.
Okay, so before I give you my opinion about what he said, can we just look at the numbers really quick, right? Hallmark rose to be the third most popular channel in prime time in total day viewership in the week of November 11th to 17th, beating out both MSNBC and CNN. Here is the exact numbers, though. The Hallmark channel was third among all cable networks, falling only to Fox News and ESPN, with an average of 810,000 viewers in prime time and 479,000 viewers at any given point in the day. Bottom line is, CNN and MSNBC's obsession with Trump is really what killed him in the end, because while they focused so much on him, they kept pushing viewers away. And that's why they've seen these double-digit declines in viewership, because people are looking towards alternative sources of news. I mean, that's just what's happening. And that's why you guys heard earlier in the video what Tucker had to say. We need to give our thanks and hats off to Joe Rogan and also people like Elon Musk, who has given those opportunities to everyday American citizens to seek information elsewhere. And let's face the truth about Hallmark for a second here, right? So the holiday movies have consistently outperformed cable news during the holiday season. I mean, I think we all can agree to that. But also, it reflects a cultural shift towards escapism over divisive narrative. So meaning people are so exhausted from the election, they're done with the divisiveness, right? Now, CNN could back up what I just said, because they have just published a poll showing how 54% of Americans are optimistic about Trump's administration. Check this out.
But how do people feel about the prospects of his presidency, given the context of some of these picks?
Yeah, it's not just that they like what Donald Trump is doing right now. They're optimistic for the future. So, again, let's compare ourselves now versus where we were 8 years ago. And what you see 8 years ago, 53% of Americans were scared or concerned, the majority towards the upcoming Trump term. Look at where we are now. The shoe is on the other foot. 53% of Americans are excited or optimistic. It's flip-flop, where a narrow majority 8 years ago were scared or concerned about the upcoming Trump term. Now what we see is that the majority is excited or optimistic about the Trump term. So what we're just seeing is very different numbers from where we were 8 years ago. 8 years ago, folks really were not that in love with the Trump transition. Now they are, and more than that, looking forward to the upcoming Trump term. 8 years ago, the majority were scared or concerned. Now the majority are excited or optimistic.
Trump has a level of momentum and trust that he didn't have the first time around. And you combine that with the experience that he's carrying. No wonder people trust him more than someone like Kamala Harris, right? Why would you ever trust her to lead this country? It is besides me. But here's the bottom line. Trump's approval ratings among Republicans are higher than any modern GOP president, including Reagan himself. This optimism reflects voter confidence in Trump's ability to deliver on the important issues such as economy, national security, and immigration, which these are all things that clearly won him the election. And maybe that's why this next story is interesting, because Whoopi Goldberg might be those people who are paying attention to these numbers, because she has adopted this attitude of let's wait and see what Trump is going to do instead of spending all this time tearing him down. But Ana Navarro does not want to hear that. And so they both get into it and it gets a little heated. So let's take a look at this clip.
I think what we're all saying is we're going to sit and watch. We're going to wait and see because we can't do anything else except.
I'm not going to wait and see. I mean, this guy is told us he's a retribution. He's going to be a dictator.
What are you doing? Like, there's nothing to be done until you know what you're fighting. It's pissing in the wind doesn't help. You just get a wet face.
But I mean, what I'm saying is I have no false expectations that at 78 he's going to all of a sudden turn into another human being. And I'm not going to spend. I spent weeks telling people that he was apocalyptic. I'm not going to change now because it's still the same man.
Not treating every single thing like
I think that's when we lose credibility.
Well, here's the thing: you lose credibility in many different ways. If you don't know what you're talking about and you accuse him of something, then they're going to blow it back. That's why I say we need to wait and see exactly what you're going to do.
Yeah, that's why you saw Alyssa nodding her head, because that's probably one of the, I guess, maybe few times I've ever seen Whoopi say something that is related to common sense. Can we be honest about that, right? But more importantly, even traditional anti-Trump voices like Whoopi or Alyssa, they are more neutral this time around because they see the damage that's being done to their show, to these other networks, by having such a divisive rhetoric about Trump. But also Navarro's attacks mirrors the left's ability to adapt. And it also just shows you their refusal to face reality. Trump is back. He is the new president. The American people voted overwhelmingly for him. And she needs to get with the program. I mean, that's just really what it is at this point. And part of this growing momentum for Trump, it is now bleeding into these criminal cases against him. And now it's been reported officially that Jack Smith has dropped the legal case against Trump for January 6th. Let's hear CNN report on this really quick.
Special counsel Jack Smith is saying that he is going to move to dismiss one of the two criminal cases against President-elect Trump. Here, he is referring to the election subversion case that he filed against President-elect Trump 2 years ago. He is saying that, quote, the country has never faced the circumstances here where you have a pending criminal case against a president-elect. There is internal Justice Department guidance that says you cannot indict or prosecute a sitting president. And here, Jack Smith saying that, quote, this also applies to this situation where you have a president-elect. So he is moving to dismiss the election subversion case against Trump. Now, of course, Trump is facing two federal cases, both brought by the special counsel Jack Smith, this election subversion case, and then also the classified documents case down in Mar-a-Lago.
So clearly this is a massive victory for truth, justice, and Donald Trump himself. Now, you heard them say one of two cases, but the second case, when we're talking about the classified documents, that's not going anywhere, okay? And it was already dismissed. And what I mean by that is it was a clear overreach by Jack Smith and the DOJ in trying to criminalize free speech and political dissent. Right? I mean, listen, we know Democrats are going to lose it over this announcement today. In fact, here is the latest clip of one of the Democrat congressmen saying what you would expect them all to say. Watch.
With Democratic Congressman Dan Goldman of New York, he sits on the House Homeland Security Committee.
Well, look, I certainly understand why he did it, given the Department of Justice policy that you cannot prosecute a sitting president. I think it is a shame for justice in this country. It establishes that Donald Trump is above the law. The Supreme Court put him above the law in that opinion that Paula just mentioned. But now he appears to escape full accountability for what were crimes charged by a grand jury. And if the shoe were on the other foot, for example, and Joe Biden were to have fired David Weiss, who clearly had a politicized investigation because the House Republicans effectively scuttled a plea agreement, everyone would be up in arms.
Okay, so you guys always know what I say. Rules for you, but not for me, right? That's the world that they operate in, okay? And he uses the excuse, well, if the shoe was on the other foot with Joe Biden, you know, this wouldn't be happening. But it already did, okay? We already know about what happened with Hunter Biden and the money he took from a foreign entity, which you're not allowed to do, especially when your father is a sitting vice president, right? And then he ends up being the president. But hey, that doesn't matter, right? It's only about Trump and what you guys don't like about him. So let's prosecute Trump. And really, the question is, was this really ever about justice, or was this really more about taking Trump out? Because he's always been a political outsider. He challenged the establishment, and I'm more likely to believe in that. Okay, so let's kick this back over to you guys. What do you think about what the Axios CEO and Morning Joe had to say about Elon Musk telling the audience and members of the X platform that we are the media now, right? And then Tucker Carlson's response to that, confirming that sentiment and stating that these guys will be gone within the next 10 years. Let me know in the comment section below. And what do you think about the fact that Hallmark is outperforming networks like CNN and NBC? I think that is interesting to say the least. Let me know your thoughts about that. And the fact that Jack Smith has dropped these charges, long time coming. Give me your reaction to that as well in the comment section below. Now, last night we dropped a video talking about Elon Musk, who put out a meme that led to an altered video showing Rachel Maddow crying because Elon Musk wants to buy the network MSNBC. Clearly, this has gone viral. The Meltdown is entertaining. And if you guys want to check out that video, all you have to do is click on it because it's coming up right now.